Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Musical People and Journeys podcast, and it's a real special one today because not only do I have my rock chick queen Trish with me, but welcome to the show, the one and only Lex Koritni. Is that how you pronounce it, by the way? Have we pronounced it correctly, Lex?
You have been pronouncing it correctly because that's not the real spelling, actually. That's the phonetic spelling.
Right.
So you can pronounce it exactly as it looks. So, yeah, there you go.
So, there we go. So, welcome to the show, Lex. Thank you for joining us. Obviously, we're here because we did a recent review of your brand new album. Is it Long Overdue? And it hit Hall of Fame, which you picked up on that, and you said that Magic Guys, and we said, would you like to come for an interview? And you said yes. So there we go, and that's what we're here today. So that's part of the journey that we're on. So Lex, obviously, let's get the elephant out of the room, which you're Australian.
I am.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, that's I am Australian. However, I've been living in France. Well, I've been living here on and off for about 15 years, and I think I became a permanent resident here about 10, 11 years ago.
So, so your journey then, so obviously did you start your band in Australia, or did you start it in France? Because you started way back in, 2005, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I did a record with a guy called, whatever his fucking name is. It was a band called Green Dollar Colour, and we recorded a record and released it. It was only me and him. We paid a drummer to play on it, and then the wheels fell off because he was a cunt, and we never toured that, you know. So, but we got it released, and the label obviously was like, well, we just sunk money into releasing this record. You got to tour it somehow. And so, obviously, they took me because I was the singer rather than the retard on the other side of the room. And I toured it as, I think it was Koritni's Green Buck Tour or something, you know.
Okay.
Because couldn't use the name, but did that. And then... and
that was in Australia?
Well, no, this was in Europe, actually, France.
Right.
So, I mean, but I did find all the musicians in Australia, you know.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I called up my mates. I was like, "Oi, do you want to come to Europe for a couple of months?" Nah. And there you go. And that was where Koritni literally started. So we did I think it was like 14 or 15 dates around France, Belgium, Switzerland, Holland. Then we come back to Australia the following year, and we recorded the first Koritni record, and that was the birth of Koritni, you know, per se.
So you mentioned that it wasn't the correct spelling. Is actually Koritni your original name then, or
Koritni is my family name? Yes.
Okay.
However, my father is of half Ukrainian, half Russian descent, so obviously he's trying to kill himself. And so it's he's fucked. But it's the original name. It's obviously it's a Cyrillic name, you know. So when you translate it into English, there's a whole lot of J's and a whole lot of Y's, and, you know, I mean, I think I was like 15 before I learned how to spell it. It was a horrible upbringing, really. You know, teachers fucking making fun of me, mispronouncing my name. So yeah, so Koritni, stage name. Look at that, phonetic spelling. Nobody can fuck it up. Done.
So you cite in terms of your heroes, or you base your music on people like Aerosmith and that sort of ilk. But would you, when you were growing up then, and were you always was it always a bias towards rock, or and when did you kind of first start learning the guitar? So
okay, well, no, actually, like a lot of people pin those influences on me, like Aerosmith and that sort of thing. Whereas, no, I was brought up on soul, blues, R&B, and then obviously, you know, my old man, my dad played in bands, and I grew up in and around, you know, all of the ex-fucking players from Fraternity, from Rose Tattoo, so, you know, like, the Australian music scene in the 80s when I was growing up was quite small, you know, so Rose Tattoo and the Angels, they were around at my dad's place for a barbecue fucking every second weekend, you know, and so obviously that's a big influence as well. But I would say, no, like at its basis, you know, it was like I was going to sleep every night with a cassette deck playing Sam Cooke, Little Richard, Aretha Franklin, Creedence Clearwater, and that's really my proper roots. And after that, when I was a teenager, I discovered hard rock myself. Discovered Guns N' Roses and obviously AC/DC. Going to the dime stores and buying the secondhand vinyls. That's how I got the entire collection of Akadaka. And then moving on, discovered Pantera, as angry young men do. And, it just kind of grew from there. So at the moment, I've got a ridiculously eclectic musical taste.
Yeah.
I could be listening to Jean-Michel Jarre 1 minute, and then I've got fucking Cannibal Corpse on the next. So, I'm not adverse to electro or rap or anything. As long as there's something I can focus on and enjoy, then I'll be down for the ride.
So with that upbringing with your dad, then were you always was it in your DNA? Did you always go, well, I'm also going to become a musician, or had you been planning something else?
Oh no, it was pretty much fucking forced, music lessons for me started for as long as I can remember. Dad started music training at the age of 2 and 3. I used to wake up 2 hours before school every day. I'd do like an hour and a half of rehearsal before school. Okay, take a shower, go to school. School for me was a nice reprieve from home life. I was like, school is great. I don't have to do shit here. It is Australian school, don't forget. And and then I would come home and have to do another couple of hours of music practice. But in amongst that, there's also, he's smacking me with maths, he's smacking me with science. He's like, no, here, fucking, draw a picture now. It was art training as well. I got more of a home education, and school was more like my mini holiday. So I hated music up until I was about 16, 17. And then I started playing in bands, playing in cover bands and whatnot. And I discovered all of my friends at school that they were shit. They couldn't play. So I started looking around in the newspapers, and I got in with a few guys, I'm like 16 and these cunts are like fucking 26, 27, and they're great. They'll pick me up, take me to the gig. Here's some fucking fags you can smoke. Here's a sneaky beer. And I was just amazed at the fact that I was still playing better than these 26, 27-year-olds, And I'm like, oh, okay, so actually maybe my dad gave me a bit of a gift, and I started to actually enjoy it, so and it's been no looking back since then.
And do you have siblings, or were you the only child?
I do. I've got an older brother, and he had it just as bad as me. He says it was worse. But first children always do, don't they? He's a muso as well. So there you go.
So, what does he do? What does he play in? Does he play piano?
Piano player, yeah.
So, have you ever thought of doing collaboration with him then?
No, because we're brothers and we fight like fucking dogs.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Well, I can well imagine.
And the world doesn't need another fucking brother band,
No, I wouldn't disagree with that.
There have been many brother bands, and they all fucking end up falling to shit at some stage,
Okay.
So, no.
And so, as you can tell, the name of we're called Musical People and Journey. So we like to know the journey. We like to see the journey of how it unfolds from that perspective. Trish, have you got a question at this point, Trish, in our journey here? Because I know you've got lots.
I do. I've just got to pick which one. I will start with, what's the story behind your latest album? Long overdue.
Well, it's not a concept album because I play rock and roll. I like to keep it simple. I don't like to hide behind fucking special ideas or wank. Look, it's fucking rock and roll. It's music to make you tap your foot, to make you want to fuck, to make you want to have a drink. It is what it is. I like to keep things basic. So most of the songs, the occasional double entendre there, that's nice.
Absolutely, definitely on that album.
Few sneaky lyrics here, but generally, I don't want people to overthink it. Personally, I am a political fucking person, but I don't like to wave my flag on stage. I'm not a Rage Against the Machine. I'm like, oh, look at the plight of fuck off, you fucking twat. I prefer to just
Yeah.
it straight ahead rock and roll in there. So yeah, there's no hidden theme. However, the story behind the record is that was the record was my third COVID baby, actually. So my first COVID baby was my Staffordshire Bull Terrier that I bought. And we got her 2 months before COVID, so it was perfect timing. I had like 2 years to do her training, so she's a magnificent little beast. Second COVID baby arrived, and that was actually a proper baby. It was a daughter, yes.
Congratulations.
And yes, thank you very much. Nobody congratulates me for the Staffy. It's weird.
I kind of am. I've got 2 dogs myself, and I love Staffies. Staffies are so underrated as a dog. They're just
Thank you very much. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the third fucking baby that I produced was the album, because it's. I mean, for all of my previous albums, I've written a lot of the guitar parts. I've written a majority of the stuff, but once the record's finished and we finished touring, I mean, I stopped playing guitar, and so COVID really gave me the opportunity to relearn the guitar again. All the information's in the head, but the hand gets rusty, the muscle memory says, oh, fuck you. And so I started to really get on top of the guitar and pushed out, it's an appropriate phrase considering it's a birth of an album. So yeah, pushed out about 15 songs, I think, chose the 12 best, took a year to record the rest. In reality, I think it was about 5 weeks of recording, but that took about a year because I'm a lazy fuck. There was a lot of weekends away. There was a lot of I might just nip off to the countryside for a month. My manager and label's like, so how are those guitar parts going? And I'm like, yeah, I'm about halfway through. Haven't started them at all. I'm like, no, I'm almost finished. So yeah, the album took a lot longer to record than it should have, but I think it was worth it. It's fine, And plus, it was the middle. It was COVID. Everybody's fucked anyway. You can't release the album quickly and then go on tour because all of the live venues are closed. So,
do you have a favourite track from that album?
Oh, "Bone for You," because it's the song for my Staffy. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd have to say for me, it's "Tonight."
Okay, yeah, that's a nice melodic one.
Yeah, it's very catchy and has me singing along to it.
Well, excellent. I mean, most of my friends and people that have heard the record, generally, most people have a different favourite, which is nice. So either everything's fucking really average and nobody really knows what they like, or they're all really good and there's that. But no, for me, it's definitely "Bone for You" because for once, it's not a song about fucking alcohol or partying or sex or being a retard. So actually,
is that your actual dog barking on the track?
Yes, that is my darling little Poppy. That's her. And it was most amusing trying to record that. There's me jumping around the room with a microphone and holding a fucking bone, and it was a good 25 minutes of me jumping around like a fool.
So there's obviously a question here is that your lineup, you seem to have been going in a kind of positive direction with the lineup that you had, and that seems to you now have a completely brand new lineup in terms of your drummers and musicians. So what's the story behind that then? Is it just so you want to go in a certain direction, or they decided they want to do something else, or?
Oh no, I mean the names. The band's always been my name. I've always been in charge.
Yeah.
I've always been the captain of the ship. And in terms of if you look at the liner notes, I mean, I've written 60 to 70% of the stuff. It was me who was producing. I get the final say. I'm a bit of a totalitarianist prick. Behind closed doors. I sound all fun in interviews, but actually I'm an arsehole. So no, it was merely logistical. Actually, it was logistically for me, for planning dates, for planning tours, and logistically for the boys in the band. The reason over the years we've had several different, sometimes we'll have one guitarist here, and then the guitarist comes back, is because he's just fucking busy and he lives on the other side of the planet. And we've got fucking 3 or 4 weeks booked out, and he's like, look, I can't get away from work, or my missus has just had a baby, or my goldfish died and I'm having a personal crisis and I'm in a mental institution now or something. I don't know, and there was one stage where Luke was in Tokyo, Eddie was in Sydney, I was here, Chris was in London, and or Sydney, or he was just kind of traveling Africa for fucking 6 months. It was a nightmare, you know. And it got to the point where I was like, all right, boys, let's get together. So last year, well, before COVID, sorry, we did a few dates with most of us back together. And that was kind of the last hurrah. I'm like, all right, boys. I spoke to him, like, man, next record, I can't do this again. We can't be fucking releasing a record and then doing 4 dates in the year. It's embarrassing and it's annoying. And for me, pulling together the recording was a pain in the ass too. So I'm like, look, next record, it's going to be different, and it is. And already we've planned more dates in the last fucking 3 weeks than we've played in the last fucking 6 years, I think. So no, I mean, like, for me, it was a necessity to change the lineup, not necessarily musically, but just logistically. And now there's 3 of us in France. The drummer is in northern Italy, so he's like 5.5 hours away on the train. And we can pull together dates over a weekend, all meet up, go there, play, and fuck off and go home. So that's nice, and it's new, you know. It's new for me.
Yeah. And do you think that this is your best work to date?
I would say it's up there. Yeah. I would say I haven't been this happy with a record since Welcome to the Crossroads, and there's stuff on Welcome to the Crossroads that I was a bit fucking meh about, in terms of sound or fucking songwriting. So this one, there's nothing I would do different, actually. This is one of the few records I've listened back to and I haven't fucking got a bit of a twitch, you know, being like, oh, fuck, you know, fuck that up. This is the first one where pretty much every note is in its place for a reason. And yeah, and in terms of sound, it's everything I was looking for, you know, like weird hybrid of vintage and modern, but you don't use somebody like Kevin Shirley unless that's what you want. So no, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Trish, another question from you before I take over and you have a go at me, like you normally do.
As if I would do that. What's the best advice that you've ever been given as a musician?
The best surprise?
Advice.
Oh, advice. Oh, I was like, best surprise. Okay.
You can answer both.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, the best surprise, I believe her name was Candy, and it turned out to be a bloke called John. That was.
I met Candy as well. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. There's just some of those nights when you're a teenager and you don't know any better, isn't it? Best advice as a musician. I don't know, because basically the first fucking, you know, like 17 years of my life was my father training me up, you know. So I would say everything that he ever said, there was nothing that stood out, but it was just persistent nagging that hammered home everything that I think needs to get done. However, if I was going to give advice to anybody learning music, I would say get your hands on a tape recorder or get a microphone for your computer, or, I mean, today it's so fucking easy. Record yourself. Like, you can practice as much as you want, but whenever you practice, you should record yourself and listen back. And like that, you can start to, well, first of all, you can start to learn about miking techniques, which is always handy if you're going to record. But like that's the best way to hear what you're doing wrong, you know, because like you can be rocking out and you think you're fantastic, and you listen back and you're like, oh dear, I suck, you know. It's a bit like when you first hear your voice recorded and you're like, do I sound like that, you know?
You can't imagine how you sound.
No, and playing music, it's even more important. And when you start to record, then, you know, take your favorite song and record over the top and compare it. You know, like you take someone like AC/DC, everybody's like, oh, fucking AC/DC's simple. Fucking bullshit. There are fuck all musicians that can play AC/DC properly because the groove is so laid back, it's so heavy, and when you record like the Back in Black riff or the whatever groove, if you play that along with AC/DC, all of a sudden you find that your guitar is like, you know, a couple of microseconds ahead of what they're playing, you know. And I'm like, that's what you need to pay attention to. That's groove. That's playing music, you know. So record yourself and listen back and compare it against what you enjoy to listen to, you know.
I find it very interesting that your music is very centric around American rock. Well, American rock and roll. It's definitely a rock and roll with that. You can tell your influence of a bit of blues in there and that sort of stuff as well. But you're based in France, and you're looking at your tour dates. A lot of your tour dates are France. I mean, what is the French rock scene vibrant for this sort of music then?
Well, it is. I mean, there's a lot of live rooms around France. One of the biggest metal rock festivals in Europe is in France, Hellfest.
Wow.
And the public are great. The food is fantastic. The women are lovely. No, but like,
the food's fantastic and the women are lovely.
well, yeah, you know, like.
Oh, rock and roll.
No, but it's just like, yeah. I mean, I play American style music, but you know, unfortunately, most Americans, they really fucking get under my skin. I don't want to move there. You know, you can always hear that one American in the room, you know, because like your skin starts to fucking creep up the back of your neck, and you're like, oh, who's talking? What's that sound? If you live there, you're surrounded by them. No good. I'm just taking the piss. Look, I ended up in France. The first opportunity that came was here, and I mean, for a long time, I was like spending 6-7 months a year around Europe or around France, but I was traveling back and forth from Australia, and I just got tired of doing that 24-hour flight. Ended up moving here and just instilled myself like a tick. I fucking love it here. I love the culture. I love the people. I mean, I fucking learnt the language. Can you imagine that? Like,
no.
Jesus, that's a big investment. You know, like I actually learnt the French language. So you know, like I don't think I'll be going anywhere soon because, you know, like yeah, I'm pretty much the most uncouth bogan Frenchman in the country, and yeah, that's something to be proud of.
Most Parisians are though, then, aren't they? I've met Parisians. So.
Yeah, but I don't live in Paris because it's fucking horrible. I lived there for a few years, but I'm outside now.
So, Lex, big question: are you planning your tour, and are you coming to the UK?
Look, I would love to come to the UK. We have been there before.
2007, I think.
Yes. And then we tried to come there again, and I got arrested. Didn't even make it to the UK. Got arrested at fucking Calais. But by UK immigration, you know. I was detained for 9 hours. They took away my fucking shoelaces. They thought I was going to neck myself, and I'm like, really? You know, like, I don't know. So, I mean, we turn up in the tour bus. We got all our gear in the back. Immigration was like, so, you coming here to play gigs? We were like, yep. They're like, how many gigs? Where are they? There's a website. They're there. Okay. And most of the band were European citizens, well, French citizens. So, they were allowed to go in. Me and the bass player, we were Australian. We weren't. So we got arrested. They're like, could you come with us, please, sir? And I'm still, technically, it's UK soil because we've crossed the little line in Calais, but it's still fucking France. I'm sorry. So I'm still in France. They're like, come with us, sir. Yeah. Held for 8 hours, you know, with a horrible fucking flea-ridden fucking blanket in the corner. And then finally, they let us go, and they came in and they notified us. You know, I got fingerprinted. I got a big black stamp on passport and everything, because you know I just tried to go to the UK to play some gigs, and so finally, you know, obviously, you know, I made an ass out of myself a few times because after several hours I started going fucking spastic, you know, like fucking thumping the windows and shouting at them and whatnot. So finally they come in. They're like, okay, so we've decided to refuse your application of entry to the UK. I'm like, oh, fucking hold me back. You're like, you what? You know, like, no shit. You know, like, it was obvious that you denied me in the first 10 seconds, you know. And so they're like, but you have to wait here, and we have to wait for French immigration to come pick you up, you know. So finally, another hour later, you know, the French police rock up, And the English, they escort me across this little line, open the gate, give me to the French cops. French cops take me back, and the French cops were like, "So, what happened?" And I told them, and they're like, "Yeah, they're not so nice." And they're like, they told me they'd been ready to pick me up for the last 7 hours. I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, you bastards!" Yeah. So yes. So next
What
time,
was
the reason for your refusal?
because we didn't have, because apparently they changed the visa laws just that year. And what we later discovered, apparently Sheryl Crow's tour fucking, they all got detained at the fucking border. The Russian Bolshoi Ballet fucking had to cancel their tours because, they cancelled artistic fucking visa blah, blah, blah for that year. And I don't know. So next time, when we come to the UK, I'll make sure that every single fucking little T and I is dotted and crossed because I don't want to get bitten by those nasty fleas again.
So, I mean, it seems to me that your music, and particularly the music scene here in the UK, is absolutely prime for your style, I think. I mean, but talking of your style, I mean, on the Wikipedia, it's a combination of American rock and blues and sleaze rock. Whatever sleaze rock is, how do you describe your music? How would you, if somebody was listening to your style and you went, what style of music do you play other than rock and roll? What would it be?
Well, I mean, I would say hard rock because that's kind of the phrase. I mean, to me, it's just rock and roll. Apparently, it's hard rock, but yeah, I mean, I would just describe it as grind music, music to drink and fuck to. I think that's essentially what I try to convey,
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Not so much the drugs, just
no, but
fucking and drinking. Yeah. Fucking and drinking. That's I'm almost 40. I don't need the drugs anymore. I mean, maybe soon enough I'll need other types of drugs, but
Oh my God, you make me feel old.
But so yeah, like I would describe it like that. I don't know if I know to other Australians I've often described it as like well, imagine if Jimmy Barnes sang for AC/DC or Barnesy sang for Roast Tattoo. But look, it's just it's just pretty easy to listen to music these days anyway. If you're unsure, just take 5 minutes and have a fucking listen, and make sure there's a beer within reach, otherwise you'll feel frustrated.
I didn't need a beer. I loved the album.
Oh, good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you're not a habitual alcoholic, obviously.
This is not water, I would like to add. This is gin.
Bless you.
And Trish, have you got some more questions?
What are some of the challenges you face as a band?
Well, I think we've already touched on the challenges of
getting into the UK for one.
of getting into the UK.
Yeah.
I mean, geographic challenges of planning a tour and having everybody in the same country. Geopolitical challenges of UK immigration being cunts, and other challenges. I don't know. I don't feel like there's that many challenges. It's just like because I mean at this in this day and age, like in my current fucking psychology, I've got a daughter, I've got a house, I've got a fucking lovely life here. I'm not really pressed for time, like. I'm not like, oh, fuck, I got to write 12 fucking great songs, then I got to release the album, then I got to organise a tour, then we got to fucking do it, and,
You don't feel pressured.
And I've got to sniff a whole bunch of cocaine and get a private plane. I'm like, oh, fucking, we'll just see what happens, like, if I'll take my time, I'll finish it when it's ready. If people are happy, that's nice. If they're not, they can fuck off. Let's play some gigs. Let's have the weekend away. Let's just make sure we play the best music we can. I mean, I'm playing with some incredible musicians, obviously, and the job's going to get done. So I don't worry about performance. I don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. I'm actually pretty relaxed. Like once the product's done and I'm happy with it, I know that we're in good hands. I know I can produce the goods, and the rest of the boys can as well. And as long as we don't have any Spinal Tap moments of like turning up and fucking Stonehenge being too small or the drummer turning into a little glob of goo, I think we'll be all right. But we have had a few Spinal Tap moments in our careers. What moment would that be, Lex? Well, let me answer that question.
I'm glad you beat that to me. So Lex, stop taking my lines with it. Lex, tell me about your Spinal Tap moment.
Well, so I don't remember what it was. I think it was like our first or second tour in Europe, and we had some dates booked in fucking Corsica, and my God, that was an adventure. Corsica, it's a beautiful place, amazing to go on holiday, great beaches, great fucking people, culture, la la la. But it's one of those things, like when you move into the mountains, you start to meet mountain people, and that's where the rebels are living. It's full of people that fucking blow up hotels and they want to liberate Corsica. And so we arrive, and there's this guy that's driving us around these little mountain roads, taking blind corners on the wrong side of the road at like 80, 90 k's an hour. There's like a fucking 800-foot drop this side. We're like holding on for dear life, like, fuck, is this how it's going to start and end? And we get to this place. It's like, well, where are we? This isn't the place that you sent us photos of that we're staying. And the guy literally was like, oh yes, no, I'm sorry, that is now a crime scene. Like, what? He's like, oh, man who owned a house, he in jail now. He blow up hotel. I'm like, all right, fucking sweet. So we're playing for the Corsican fucking rebel mafia. All right. So that's how it started out. And then, the first gig we get to, we walk in, and there's a guy fucking gutting a pig on the bar, and there's guts and blood everywhere. Sorry, not a pig, like a boar, a wild pig, sanglier. And I was like, so I guess that's dinner then? He's like, yes, we hunted it this morning for you. And I'm like, well, fucking, okay. I mean, that's lovely, but a little bit unhygienic, but okay, fine. And then moving on. So we did a couple of shows. That was great. And then there was this one show that we're playing. And fucking hell. So it was supposed to be at this this football pitch, like amateur fucking football ground. And we turn up there, and there's some kids playing football. And that's it, We're like, this is odd, like there's no stage, there's no nothing. There's a little marquee. And one of the guys that like took us there, he's like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure like you set up here. And it's like, there's nowhere to set up. Like, where's the electricity? Where's fucking, he's like, I'll work it out. Don't worry. So he fucks off and comes back with like basically a fucking cardboard box for a drum kit, a little transistor radio for a guitar amp. And he's like, so all my friends are coming. You'll play a concert the best you can. But I'm sorry, there's 250 people waiting for you 4 hours away on the other side of Corsica because we fucked up with the address and we advertised the wrong place. I was like, wow, okay. That's fucking great. And obviously, it's like, literally like 4 hours away, so there's no way we could have got there. I was like, all right, so let's eat a bit of fucking last night's pig, and let's play some tunes for fucking Mr. Rebel and his mates. So we
that's
had
the worst gig. What's about the best gig you've ever played? What's been the best gig?
I don't know. I mean, like fucking. Honestly, I think like the worst ones are always the ones that stand out. They're the ones you laugh about. They're the ones you talk about in the tour bus. I mean, what is the best gig? Where nothing wrong happens, where you sing well. Well, that's a lot of gigs. Honestly, like fucking, there's no real standout gigs where I'm like, oh, that was the best gig of my life. I mean, if it's good, if I sing well, if nobody fucks up too much, that's just par for the course, Like, but when the wheels fall off, when like
the memorable moment.
Yeah, and they're the ones you piss yourself laughing about,
Oh, totally. The face of adversity, and at the time you just go, oh god, and then when you look back at things, you just you absolutely crack up, don't you? So is your partner French? Is she? And you met her when you came to France?
Yeah, I'd already been in France for a good I don't know, fucking 6-8 years or something.
Right.
So yeah, she's very French, small, petite, gorgeous, brunette. French. There you go.
Well, what about
Then
your
what?
what about your partner?
Very keen.
What about your wife? Thanks
I
for
need to get the
describing
brunette down. It's a bit
Trish. I mean,
grey
that's lovely
smoking
of
through
you.
here, love. I have one final question to ask before I hand over to Nigel. Is how do you go about writing your songs?
I pretty much for lyrics, I write in a very peculiar fashion. So like every now and again, I'll be in the train or in the garden or walking the dog or whatever. Like a phrase will pop out in my head, or like I'm like, oh, that's a good idea for a song, or oh, that'd be nice. So I got a little notepad for just jotting down those type of ideas. But then for actual like coming to writing songs, it always starts out the same. I'll be watching the cricket or watching the Formula One or watching some watching Red Dwarf for the 400th time. I got a guitar. I'm in my undies in front of the TV and just fagging about, And then something pops out and you're like, oh, that seems all right. So you go up to the bedroom, plug in the computer, lay that down, then back downstairs for, fucking after tea time, checking it out. And so normally, like I'll do that for a week or so. Then, when the Ashes finishes, I'll have a listen to the recordings, and I'm like, shit, sounds exactly the same as that one. Oh, that's just fucking Jeff Waters from Annihilator ripoff. Oh, that sounds good. So take that idea, do a second guitar part, do a basic drum pattern, and just start assembling the song from there, And like I find that generally, if you start with like a small idea like that, the song kind of builds itself. And then so I'll do most of the music. Then I'll start with like melodies. And when I do melodies, I write scat, like both just fucking because like the sound of the mouth, the mouth sound is really important for me. Like I don't know, for example, like you can't have a high note in the chorus with the word needle. You can't go nee. It sounds ridiculous. You've got to have a nice, big, fat, open mouth sound, like fucking yeah, not nee. So then you have to start to find fucking lyrics that fit around the vague mouth sounds that you want to be singing, So yeah, I'm not somebody that sits down and, like nice glass of cognac and composes a beautiful fucking sonnet and then puts music to it. Honestly, lyrics for me, it's the fucking last thing. I mean, I'm a massive AC/DC fan, and to be honest, like most songs, I only know the chorus. I know a few spotted words here and there, but it's fucking irrelevant, Like, for me, it's like, look, if the foot's tapping, if you're grooving along, that's fine. So, if you read my lyrics, I do put somewhat of an effort into it, but it's pretty much the last thing that I put effort into. That's and occasionally I have been known to be finishing lyrics, in the vocal booth in the studio. So yeah, that's basically my vague construction of songwriting. But still a lot of work.
Does anybody ever come to you and go, "I've written a song. Can you put like the music to it?"
Yes, I've had a few artists in Australia back in the day. They did that, like and they were like, yeah, can you basically rework these songs or rewrite it? Or I had this one singer and like didn't play an instrument and just had her fucking random mumblings on cassette. She had like most of the lyrics and it was just like fucking out of tune, weird shit. And I wrote a bunch of songs for her, and they turned out really well, And it was funny that her random fucking speaking in tongues, almost fucking singing, it pushed me in directions that I wouldn't have normally gone because, like so. So there you go. Yeah, I have done that before, but when I'm doing it myself, it's normally the same thing.
You mentioned you got a record label, I believe. Is that right? You have got a record label.
Yes.
So how do they, in terms of when they sign you, define success for them then, and what sort of pressure obviously you got a pressure to produce the album itself, but have they got a predefined that we need to achieve this amount of sales or this amount of revenue? I've been quite fascinated how that sort of relationship works with the record label.
That's also why I've had the same manager for a long time. That's more of a question for him, because that's stuff that just fucking does my head in.
Yeah.
That would be Sam, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes, that would be Sam. However, also, we've worked with the same label for quite some time now, but generally we go to them, and it's album by album, it's contract by contract.
And
so
does he organise the tour for you then as well?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, the label's not actually paying for the records, so if anything, they kind of owe us a service rather than the other way around.
Okay. How ambitious are you?
Well, it depends. I've broken numerous bones due to ambition.
Musically,
bet I can jump over that.
Musically, how ambitious are you?
Oh, in terms of what?
To become, how big would you like to become? Would you like to become filling stadiums, headlining acts, and that sort of stuff?
No, that's honestly, that's not important. Don't give a shit. Why
not?
Because I'm happy to produce fucking music that I am happy producing.
That is artistical integrity. That's got nothing to do with everything else. Because I asked this question. Okay, I'm going to put the reason I asked this question is like, you've got 5 people in on that panel. We've got another gang as well that we like to do 12 hours a month, and out of those 12, yours was, I think, the only 2 albums out of the 12 that we did last month that got to our Hall of Fame. Okay. And I know we're a small podcast. Yeah, we've had over 1,000 views on one of our albums when we did Love Bites, but generally, we're kind of getting out there. But for me, what that says is that anybody, in my opinion, that gets into our Hall of Fame, that we've done over 200 album reviews, so you're one of 20 albums artists, and you're, I think, like 13th or 14th with the rating. You got 4.2. What that says to me is that you are super fucking talented. Super talented. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Your composition of your music and your albums absolutely does everything that you say you want to achieve, which is rock and roll. I mean, you are rock and roll, and there's some really good emerging bands. I found you quite similar to The Answer when we did The Answer the month before as well, and hitting that sweet spot in that sort of rock and roll bluesy kind of genre is really hard, and we've done a lot of reviews. It's really, 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 really hard to achieve. So, and you've hit that. You hit it on the nail. You've really achieved it. So to get 5 people in a room that listen to a lot of rock music, and to get to that means that you are super talented and you've got a super, super sound. And I think that you could potentially be like huge in that sort of arena. So I wanted to know if that was your ambition to do that.
Well, I think we'll have to see where that goes, because I mean, obviously, there was a large degree of fucking fraternity involved before, like staying with the same boys, staying with the same band, but it just wasn't fucking working,
Yeah.
And we spent 8 years not playing, if not more. We spent about 10 years not playing, doing like 4 or 5 gigs a year. So let's see what happens in the. I mean, look, I wouldn't say I'm ambitious, but I'm not going to say no. I enjoy the ride. But I also enjoy fucking doing a spot of gardening with my missus and having my daughter, just crawling around in the backyard. So if somebody says, "Oi, I got a 9-month fucking tour lined up for you," I'll be like, no, sorry, not going to do 9 months. I'll do a month and then I'll come home for a month. But this is something that needs to be looked at as well. So look, let's just see what happens. The fact that now all the boys are in the same locale, if we can play a lot more dates, I think that'll generate a lot more groundswell, and maybe it'll start again. Who knows? So we'll see what happens. But thank you very much for the compliments. It's wonderful to hear. It's wonderful to hear that my tortured childhood paid off. I mean, yeah, that'll be great comfort tonight when I'm crying myself to sleep. You know, it'll be good. When I'm hiding in the cupboard, giving myself a Chinese burn, like, oh fuck my life,
Papa, damn you. If you say AC/DC, then is that your all-time favourite rock band, AC/DC?
No. I would say they are the go-to. They're the standard, you know. It's a bit like fucking, you know, if you say like, oh, your favorite guitar is a Les Paul, it's like, well, you haven't played enough guitars. But it's a standard. It's fucking great, you know. It's been doing the same job for 100 years, like AC/DC, you know. So look, I mean, I mentioned AC/DC because they've managed to pretty much hold the fort. You know, they don't fuck about. They're not like, oh yeah, now we're going to do a fucking concept album. You know, oh yeah, now fucking now he's wearing a dress. You know, I don't know. You know, like I love them, but in terms of like favorite all-time fucking band,
so I could give you a ticket to the band that you want to watch, front row seats in, say, Madison Square, and who would you pick? You would want front row seats to go and see.
Can I go back in time?
Yeah, whoever. Absolutely.
Can I go back and see the fucking Eat 'em and Smile tour from David Lee Roth? Because that'd be that'd be nice.
I was there at Wembley for the Eat 'em and Smile with David Lee Roth, which was Steve Vai. Right, I was.
Well, you can fuck right off, can't you?
Fucking abseils! He abseils from the ceiling into a fucking box ring.
Christ.
Giant surfboard through the. I smile
right now.
I smile because I whenever people say, "What's been your favourite concert?" I said, David Lee Roth, Wembley, Eat 'em and Smile, Steve Vai, one of the greatest concerts I ever went to. Sorry,
there you go.
Sorry, bud.
So that but somewhere around that period as well, I would have loved to have seen Mr. Big. But in terms of today, some of the greatest fucking playing I've seen live would be from Annihilator, Jeff Waters. I mean, that dude is just fucking monster. Everything he does is great, except when he decided to re-record Metal 2. That was weird. But yeah, so yeah, Annihilator, I've seen them numerous times, and I mean, you mentioned Madison Square. I'm like, I want to see Annihilator at Madison Square Garden. There you go.
That would be absolutely amazing.
But yeah, I think. But yeah, AC/DC, I would have loved to have seen with Bon.
Yeah,
that would have been something else.
Yeah, I didn't get to see them with Bon, but I did get to see them. But they were amazing. So, but absolutely fantastic. Well, hopefully one day you'll be headlining, you know, down in Download, which would be phenomenal. So, but Lex, we desperately want you to come to the UK. We'd be there, front row seats. So, you know, we know what it's like though. If you in terms of getting groundswell, we support Hearts and Hand Grenades, who have been coming over from the US, and we went round and they've had to pay some shitty kind of low, you know, 30-40 gig people to get to where they're there. But it was quite fascinating. We watched Sabaton the other day, and and at one point during the Sabaton concert, they basically highlighted the fact that when they first came to the UK, they played in front of like, you know, 40-50 people, and now they're playing in front of 11,000, but they kept coming back, and that was a pretty special gig. But we'd love to see you. We love your album, so and I think you've got. Well, I hope you continue to grow and hope to keep coming back. So I think you're incredibly talented, and you've got a fantastic sound. But yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, I'd love to come over there as long as I don't get arrested. Again,
I'll put a word in. I'll put a word in. It'll be fine.
Oh yes, please. Yeah. So, but yeah, no. Look, I mean, we'll just see what happens. And the fact that all of us are here dates are easy to organise now, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do make it across the channel.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Lex, it's been an absolute blast listening to you. You're talking a million miles an hour, and it's refreshing. We do talk to a lot of people who. You're right. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Sex and drugs or drugs in particular
sex, drugs,
is gone.
and rock and roll. No,
Drink and drugs is great, but drugs seem to have gone out there, and a lot of rock bands now build their longevity on on family, and there's nothing wrong with that, because you know what, you need that to keep you going. You need that for your longevity and to keep yourself in the right place, which is amazing. So that's fantastic. So good luck with your dog. And good luck with your missus, and good luck with your young daughter. What was the name of your daughter?
Adelaide.
Adelaide, beautiful name. Well, I hope she goes up to be half as talented as you, my friend. So there we go. So, when she's 2, you put that guitar in her hands, all right? And so,
I am planning to torture her childhood the same as my father did to mine. So yeah.
Okay, Lex, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
You've
been amazing,
so
you've been a
much.
superstar, and good luck with the sales. I hope we do our little bit for you. Good luck with the tour, and we really hope to see you in the UK.
No worries, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. You'll be good, yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.